Now, you guys talk about original music, and that's where you guys both kind of gravitate towards.
Absolutely.
We have that in common, big time.
Yeah.
However, we live in East Texas.
Yeah.
And I don't like to throw East Texas under the bus very much. But when it comes to original music, the 903 is not really known for original music.
They don't want to hear it.
And it's not the artist's fault. It's typically the venue's fault. And if it's the venue's fault, it really boils down to the listener. And so if the people in the area would just be open to more original music, perhaps we would have more venues.
That's it. They haven't got enough exposure to it.
Right.
So when they hear it,
people want to hear Journey instead of Tommy Simpson.
They grew up with blinders.
I've been fortunate, actually. Yeah, I've been fortunate to force my way into where people do want me to play.
Yeah, well,
but it's rare. Like
I wanted to say that Nacogdoches Lufkin is completely the outlier in all of that. Like the rest of East Texas is cover music. But you get into Nac and Lufkin, and it's predominantly original.
Nacogdoches is a very friendly town for music.
Yep.
And original and alternative type music, art, all that. Nacogdoches.
Some of the best original music artists I've heard in East Texas have come right out of that.
I call it Redneck Austin.
Redneck Stockdale is a good example. One of my favorite artists ever comes from Nacogdoches. From that area.
Who?
Anna Stockdale.
Oh, yes, I know her.
Yeah, she's not doing it anymore, sadly, but one of my favorite songwriters, right from Nac. And there are incredible songwriters all over East Texas that we wouldn't even know they're great songwriters because they're playing cover music all the time. What has to change for that locally?
The audience.
Well, you know what? The audience is going to be who they are. And this is what we did. We went very first show, second show, third show, we didn't care. We're playing originals. We're going to play half covers, but we're going to play half originals. And if you don't like it, fine. We're going to do it anyway. Yeah. Whether you like it or not. It doesn't matter. And then, a couple of the songs started getting, the venue owners would say, hey, we like that song. We like that song. That's y'all's song? Yeah, we like that one. And so we just basically, doesn't matter if what y'all want to hear. I get this a lot. People come up and request a song. I'm a little nicer than I used to be in the beginning. But first of all, you didn't put no money in that tip jar. Second of all, I'm not a jukebox. Okay? Yeah. I'm going to play what I want to play.
Does it say YouTube anywhere?
Yeah, I'm going to play what I want to play, period. And, and I want to play my songs mostly. But there's some other cover songs that I love playing and resonate with people. So I do those too. Like I'm always going to do Dancing in the Moonlight.
We want to hear.
Yeah, I'm going to cover Dancing in the Moonlight.
But our cover songs are.
You guys find it a struggle to find venues that align with that?
In the beginning, for the first few years, we had a very big issue with that. There was only a couple of venues that would have us, and they would have us, and so we got a little bit, but now it's changed. It's changed. I don't know the last couple of years, but now venues are begging me to play, and I'm turning them down a lot.
So that's great.
So I'm blessed right now to be very popular in that area to where I can play anytime I want.
Yeah, and you've got multiple projects.
Because I've got, basically it's real simple. They're in business to make money.
Yeah.
When I play, they make more money because more people come. Because I've got a group of people that
little following.
Yeah, a little small following in a small town, and hey, it works.
Yep.
And it's fun. It's gotten more fun and more fun as we go.
I love, we talked earlier about Mesquite and Irving and all that. And we're talking about a pretty, populated area. And then you go down to the Angelina Forest and you're making more human connections in the smaller populated area than you were when you were in the higher populated.
I hadn't thought about that way.
Yeah.
That's very interesting.
When you were talking about all these people that you got instant connections to, do you feel like you were kind of almost like on an island of people, and now you're out there and really the island is the island and there just happens to be some people there? Do you think you were
That's very well
kind of, the craving human connection when you
that's a really good insight there. So I can't live in a big city. I can visit them and only for a couple of days I have to get out. Because
you know why that is? It's because we grew up in big cities.
Yeah, I grew up in a big city, and there's so many people, but no connection. There's so many people. You don't even, if you live in an apartment there, you don't even know who lives in the apartment.
Everybody's looking down.
You don't even know the apartment who lives there. No, you don't. You walk right by people all day, thousands of people. Nobody knows or says anything.
Yeah.
But you get down here in this small town where I don't even live in the city. The city's 100 people. So I live so far out. But if you see somebody, you're going to speak. You're going to talk. You're going to stop. You're going to talk. You're going to.
Well, as soon as you got there, you were forming these incredible human connections where 10 years later, you still have them.
Absolutely.
Those bonds are still
Absolutely.
there. And it was from the first day that you essentially got off the Greyhound bus.
It really was. It just, man, it was
Just seems to me like
place I was
you were
supposed to be.
craving those connections.
I was craving some solitude too.
Yeah.
And
I
some,
can
some
imagine.
where I choose when I want to associate with other people. Not there's constantly thousands of people around me all the time
Right.
where I can't think. Obviously, I wasn't writing songs then. You can't be creative. That I got down there, I found myself, I went inside myself, silence, down there in the woods. There's birds and deer, and then I just happened to get,
Helps you look within, doesn't it?
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
That's the whole big deal.
Yeah.
I had to find myself. I had to find myself, and then once I found myself, then I found the good
The
friends.
right people started
The right
falling
people,
in
yes,
his
the
life.
right people
Yeah.
started coming in mind. And if a person came along that wasn't the right person, because I knew myself now, then you got to go that way.
Yeah.
If a good person comes and they are the right person, hey, good to meet you, love you.
And it's kind of easier to make those determinations when there isn't so many damn people that you have to
Yeah.
make those determinations on.
Absolutely.
I mean, in the city, it's just like, you know what? I'm just going to shut myself off.
Yeah.
Whereas in the country, you're like, each person is getting a different,
Oh,
like a different, almost like, you're kind of not, I don't want to say criticizing them, but like, or judging. Those are all such bad words, but like, you're definitely looking at somebody's character a little closer when you meet somebody in the country, than you do in the city. I feel,
So earlier you mentioned during the pandemic, this band was doing that.
The shorter
so
songs.
here's a relative story to that. So you're JL here. When I first met him, he only played the drums.
Yeah.
Only the drums. So when the pandemic come, he wasn't able to go to work, so he had to stay home all the time. And they were paying him a stimulus check. So he had money. He was home all the time, nothing to do. That's how he picked up a bass and started watching YouTube and just doing it. Then he picked up, Then,
So you're the sponge.
yeah. So there's another two. Let me finish it. Then at some point he picked up the harmonica. Couldn't play it. He couldn't play it at all. But now he can play it real good. It's just, he had the time to do it and he just stuck to it to do it. Just stuck to it.
Yeah, it was either Bob Ross, that I was going to sit up and do some Bob Ross paintings, but the bass guitar was a little
Thanks
more.
for choosing the bass.
Yeah.
Well, what's your early musical life like?
Well, I grew up in rural town, East Texas, and my dad he played drums and stuff, back in the day or whatever, and he had a set of drums that was set up in this storage building, had a sheet over them. I was probably about 10 years old, and up there one day, and I was like, Dad, can you show me how to play? And he showed me a couple beats, and back then it was 8-tracks and cassettes that is that I'll just listen to this and just play that. And so that's what I did. I would just listen and then it started out in like playing in church, play church bands, typical East Texas church bands. And then when I got
It's usually churches or Opry's.
well, because it's the only opportunity you're going to get to play. But I played the Opry too. And they had a really good one too out there in Huntington. But then I get out of high school and start running in, getting out and running into other musicians and start.
He was
playing.
valedictorian, by the way.
But
He's a sponge. That's no surprise.
Yeah, right.
At 19, we were playing bars in Lufkin style when you opened up to drink, and I was sitting there, running a tab in the bars.
I needed JL.
It's funny. It's funny. I feel like drumming and percussion is almost always has a second generation story in there. Because otherwise parents aren't really going to buy their kid a drum set,
That makes sense. That makes perfect sense.
We lived down the woods too.
But if your dad's already a drummer, we're used to that.
The drums were out there away from the house. I wasn't causing any problem with anybody. Yeah, it was that. Yeah, because every kid wants to be a drummer. They want a little drum set and all that. Well, when you start gigging and you start hauling these drums around, you're like, man, I should have.
Yeah, you need 3 or 4 people to help.
I need
It's not like the lead singer, right? Just shows up. Leaves.
Red carpet rolls out and he just steps out right on the
that's
stage.
my goal. That's my goal.
And I always, part of the reason why I like the podcast is for, them talking to a drummer or a bassist or whatever.
Yeah.
Because everybody else talks to the lead singer, right? Like,
everybody
else wants to hear from
when
the
I
lead
get off
singer.
stage, everybody comes to me and says how great I am, it's not me, guys. It's those people who are great.
It's the whole
but I'm the
thing.
one standing up in front, so that's who they see. Yeah.
But like, unless the band is iconic, like Kiss or something, you're not going to know the drummer's name, right?
Yeah.
Like, one of the best drummers I've ever seen in my life was drumming for Charlie Robinson.
Yeah.
And I mean, nobody knows who he is.
I don't know his drummer.
He was
I
an
know
Oldfield
Charlie
guy,
Robinson.
did some Oldfield songs.
Yeah, see, you know.
Yeah, I know Charlie
Yeah.
Robinson.
Yeah.
Chapel Roan,
Robinson.
who's absolutely exploding right now, who's a phenomenal songwriter. Her drummer is amazing. She's just amazing. Like, and nobody knows what her name is. Like, I emailed her. This is Chapel Roan, like, probably other than Taylor Swift and Billie Eilish, probably the biggest artist in the world right now. I emailed the drummer and got a response within 8 minutes. Try doing that with Chapel Roan.
Yeah, right.
Or Taylor Swift.
Well, they're back there in the back. Can't even see it.
And she's amazing. Like, and you just watch a show, and that's me. Like, I'm looking at the instrumentalists, the band, so to speak. Like, and she taught me that. My wife taught me that. Her dad was a steel player. So he was an accessory player. Yeah. And so she taught me how to really pick out the different pieces of the band and not just to pay attention to the lead guy or so I love how he said that you were not wanting anything to do with cover bands. And that's a bad thing when you're in
my
this
whole
case.
life. That's all I'd ever done was other people's music.
Yeah.
Well, we were had our guitars picking around at that Christmas party, and he played some originals, and I was like, "Wow, that's good. I'd like
A breath of fresh air.
Yeah,
right?
I'd like a part of this, you know." So that's when we got together, and at the time it was kind of funny because I worked in the oil field. I was laid off. It was a little slow down in the oil field, so I was drawing unemployment, and I would drop my daughter off at school, and I would just go to his house because he wasn't working a lot. And for 40 hours a week, that was my job. I would come down there.
Yeah, he'd come over during the day. We'd just play all day, and he'd go pick his daughter back up.
We might spend 8 hours playing one song over and over again. And
It comes through in the songs because we're just tight.
It's tight. It's very tight.
Yeah,
tight.
And you can tell that even like obviously in a studio environment, that's going to be there. Unless you have just a producer that has.
We record live.
But like that's what I'm saying. Like you watch your live shows, you would never know.
We record live in the
difference
studio,
between that and the studio.
then layer on top of it.
Yeah.
We record the song live because we're so tight, drum and guitar. We've done it so many times. It's best just to go live.
Yeah.
So we can play off each other.